Hey everyone, in this video I want to show you how I have set up your lab course in Canvas. This particular video that I'm doing right now is with the full semester lab, which many of you are in, but many others of you are in my 8-week class. And so it's set up the same way, so your dates may be a little bit different on the video if you're in the 8-week class, but don't worry about that. You still need to watch this, and it's set up the same way. But anyway, if you look on our home screen, which you always can get back to by clicking the home link that's in our course navigation. This area right here that you see is called the course navigation. But anyway, on our home screen, I've got several links, and they're pretty self-explanatory. You're getting to this video by way of this second link here. But make sure you go through these and before you get started, just real quickly run through them. And then once you've done that, on the left, I want you to make sure you go to the syllabus link. This link is very important because I've got some important documents listed here. This first one is the course syllabus. It does contain all my policies and procedures. It tells you the grading scale. It tells you the attendance policies. All of that are in the course syllabus. Make sure that you read that, especially about what your grade comes from and about course attendance. In online classes, we always count attendance based on whether a student submits any work that's due that week. And if you don't submit anything that's due in a week, and most every week you're going to have at least one item that you need to submit to me. But if you don't submit anything in a week, then I will count you as absent. And if you are in the full semester course, you're only allowed 2 of those absences before you drop from the class. If you're in the 8-week course, you're only allowed 1 of those. Once you've reached that limit of 1 or 2, then you'll be sent to your Hines email. They'll be sent a notice of excessive absences, and you'll need to respond to the teacher with that, and hopefully the teacher will keep you in the course. If not, you'll be dropped from the class with a WP if you're passing at that moment, or a WF if you're not. All right, so anyway, make sure you read this syllabus. I'm not going to open it up now. You can do that. However, the second item is extremely important in my opinion. I am going to open this one for you. Okay, and this is a schedule of what's being covered every week. And if I were you, I would print this out. Now, like I said, this particular video that you're watching is based on my full semester course, so you'll see all the weeks there. The 8-week students also have a schedule that looks very similar to this. It's just each week is doubled up on the exercises that we do. But anyway, what this is showing you is for each week, which exercises in your lab manual are being covered, and when any assignments that week are going to be due. And you'll see this. So here's a quick snapshot of where am I each week? What am I going to be covering each week? You also see here the lab tests. When these are set up, they're the open dates for those. And yes, they're both proctored. And it tells you which exercises they cover. So we have a lab test in the middle that covers the first half of exercises, and then we have a lab test at the end of the semester that covers the last half. So anyway, those dates are there. If it were me, I would print this document out. It's a very, very important document, and you can just tell at a glance what we'll be covering. All right, so once you've done that, if we go back to this syllabus link, right here, I'm in the syllabus link, and I scroll down, you'll see what's called a course summary. Personally, I wish I could remove this, but this is something that's built into Canvas every time we have any assignment. Its due date only, not its open dates, but just the final due date is going to be listed in this course summary. This is not the thing for you to go to make sure you've done everything each week. This doesn't tell you when these activities open up. So if you're just saying, oh, on Sunday, September 13th, I've got to turn in virtual lab, a discussion assignment, and there's a lab quiz. Well, it's 10 p.m. I better get to work on this. No, you should be working on these all week long. And so there's another place that will tell you specifically what to be doing each week. And that place is our next link over here in the course navigation. That's called modules. Modules is the meat of the course. This is your go-to for what needs to be done every week. Now, like all of your Canvas classes, everything is set up in modules. The first two are modules that Heinz puts up for us, and this first one is a new one this semester, and it's all about COVID-19 and steps Heinz is taking and steps students need to take to address the coronavirus as it stands right now. So make sure you read all of this, and then there's a little acknowledgement quiz. Now this isn't for points for the class, but it's important that you take this quiz. Heinz is making sure that every student is doing this. So make sure you take that real quick. Then start looking at this introduction module. This is a module that's put out by our e-learning department that tells you a lot of information. You have this in every one of your Canvas courses, but make sure you read this and take this orientation survey. You have to take this same survey in every one of your Canvas courses that are online. And this is how your instructors will know in that course that you plan to stay in it, and they will not list you as a no-show to be removed from the class. So it's very important that you take this survey. You can open it up all week long. You can submit it as many times as you want, so it's ridiculous not to get 100 on it, but it must be done. All right, and then I put some additional links in this introduction module. One is about your ebook, and in your lab you do have a lab manual. It's not a physical lab manual. You could go purchase one online probably, or at the bookstore, but it's well, they may not have it at the bookstore this semester. But anyway, you do have it online. So this is information about that. And when it says how to access it from Bookshelf, Bookshelf is one of the links over here in the course navigation. But in this introduction module, it explains that to you. And then there's a link about HonorLock. HonorLock is our proctored testing, virtual proctored testing that we started late last spring, and in lieu of having to go to campus to take a proctored test because so many of the proctored sites were closed. So we're still using it. It's been very successful, and you do need to know it is through a proctoring format, but it's just done virtually, and you can do it at your home computer, which is awesome. But you will have to have a webcam, and your computer needs to be set up for that. So it's all explained here. All right, and then there's a practice quiz. This is simply one that is important for you to take prior to taking your first proctored test through HonorLock, because this will assure that you have everything you need set up on your computer for it. All right, so once you've done that, now you're ready to start A&P, and you'll see a module of A&P material for every week of your course. And this is so important for you to follow. It just walks you through. This is the objectives. I won't spend much time on that, but this is basically just very generically what we'll be covering this week. All right, but one of the most important things in this module is this weekly agenda. And there is absolutely no excuse not to know what I expect you to do each week if you read this weekly agenda. So when you come to, if somebody emails me and says, Ms. Feaster, I didn't know something was due, or, then I'm going to say, well, why didn't you read the weekly agenda? It tells you exactly. So make sure you read that. It's going to walk you through what to do. And each of these week's agendas is going to tell you which exercises you're going to be working through in your lab manual. And then I also have a link. Now, this is not a link to the lab manual. It's a link to the instructions of what you need to do in that lab manual. So I've clicked on this first one, and you can see these instructions. Like this one says read through exercise 30 in your lab manual. So you'll need to download that lab manual so you'll have access to it and read through it. And then it tells you what to do in that lab manual. Then number 2, it says look at the exercise 30 slides below. All right, so I'm going to scroll down so you can see that. All right, I have got in this particular exercise a lot of links to various micrographs. A micrograph is a picture taken through the microscope. So this is like you looking through a microscope at some of these structures that are discussed in this particular lab exercise. There's also a video in a lot of these, and this is a video similar to what you're watching right now, but it's a video of me talking through the actual slides. When you see your weekly lab quizzes and also the proctored lab test, you'll notice that there's a lot of pictures of slides, and those pictures come from either this recording or from these links. So it's very, very, very important that you pay attention to everything it says to do in this instructions. Sometimes it's labeling activities, and you'll need to look in your lab book, and I will tell you in the instructions which structures you're actually supposed to be able to label in those pictures, and then you'll see similar pictures that you need to label for a lab quiz. You will not be turning in anything directly from your lab book, even though there's questions that you can answer. In fact, I have answers to all of those lab manual questions. Have that there. It's not for you to turn in, but as you prepare this lab and learn about it, then you might want to run through those. All right, now I want to go right back up here under the instructions. Notice what I've highlighted. It says to prepare for the lab test, you need to be able to then describe the 2-point threshold. Well, that's what this procedure C is all about. So if you do that, you should be able to describe that, and then you need to identify any of the slides. Now, when it says to prepare for the lab test, I'm talking about an upcoming proctored test. You will have a weekly quiz that will also have questions on these, but when that midterm comes and you're getting ready for the proctored test, what you'll do is just go back to each of these exercise descriptions and look at that highlighted statement, and it's going to tell you what from that exercise you need to learn for the big proctor test. Okay, so I'm going to back out of that, go back to our modules, and get back to week 1. Okay, you can see that there's exercise 30. That's the one I just showed you, and then there's also one for exercise 31. So if you're in the 8-week class, you may see a third one in there too, because we're doubling up for the 8-week. But anyway, the weekly lab agenda will walk you through it. So as long as you read that weekly lab agenda, you'll be able to stay on track. Then this last area on this one shows you the graded assignments that must be turned in that week. And so that orientation survey, I've already talked with you about that. There's a link here in this module for it also. That's also up in that introduction module. And then here's the week 1 lab quiz. And this lab quiz is going to have questions from the activities you do in this exercise 30, exercise 31. All right, now listen carefully. The lab quiz is open all week long. It's due at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, August 30th. All right, you can open it as many times as you want. So, in fact, I'll just open this one, let you see what they look like. Just going to take it. Here we go. So you can see here's an example of a lab quiz, and like this one has to do with that 2-point threshold. Question number 2, that's one of those microscope slides, and this is other activities from the second exercise of this week. But anyway, you can see there's just several questions here. Now at the end, if you feel like you've answered everything correctly, you can just go in and submit it. If you don't want to submit it yet for a grade, just simply back out of it. Just if you hit the submit button, the grade's going to stand. So you can go in and out of this one all week long. Make sure you've got the answers just like you want them. And then at the end of the week, you can submit it. Or if you forget, don't freak out, because if you forget, it will automatically submit whatever you've done at the due date. So, all right, I'm going to go back to modules. So we were in that first week module, and you can see there's two things that are going to be due this week. And I did not put the Healthy at Heinz little survey, but maybe before class starts, I'll go in and put that one in here too, just so you'll make sure you get that done. All right, but then there's the second week, and you see it's set up the same way. You've got just basic objectives, and then you've got your agenda that's going to walk you through what to do in these exercises and tell you, didn't mean to do that, tell you the graded assessments. You will be performing some virtual labs, and this I explain that in the weekly lab agenda, so I won't even go into that now because you can read and you can get that yourself. But you'll be having some of those, and I think you'll find they're a lot of fun, and they don't take real long, but they're fun little interactive virtual labs, and we'll have a variety of those during the semester. All right. So you're going to have one of those modules for every week. Just make sure you follow that agenda. All right. Now, one thing I wanted to go back to that I neglected to talk about when I was talking about the syllabus has to do with how you're graded in the course. Of course, the grading scale, it's in the syllabus. It's a 10-point scale, so it's very generous. A 90 is an A, 80 is a B, 70 to 79 C, and so forth. All right, but the way you're going to be graded, what's going to determine your average is the combination of all of these weekly assignments, which would be in the form of those virtual labs or maybe a labeling assignment that I have. It's going to be listed in the module, and then the weekly lab quiz. All of those weekly assignments, look here on the right, they're going to add up, and their average will be 25% of your final grade. 75% of your final grade will be the average of your 2 proctored lab tests. And so it's very important that you don't just go through the motions each week and just submit what is due. It's important that you study what I've told you to study in every one of those exercise links. It may be the slides, it may be definitions, it may be a lot of it is going to be labeling of pictures. So you'll see that as you go through. But that's what I'll be testing you on those proctored lab tests. All righty. Then the rest of this is all explained if you go back on the home screen. All these navigation links are explained right here. And so you can look at that. I won't spend time on this video going through that. So most important thing that you need to do every week is follow whatever it says in that weekly agenda. Do not just look at a to-do list and submit things. It's important that you study every week and you keep up. You might want to go back to prior weeks and make sure you can still label, say, the heart or the eye, whatever we had covered that week. Okay, well, I'm always here. Best way to get me is just through the Canvas inbox, and the students are really good about using that, and that's great. I am here to help you every step of the way. I've been teaching this a long time now, and I love A&P2, and I love it when students ask me questions. So if you've got questions, please let me know. All right, well, good luck with the course, and welcome again to A&P2 Lab.